Okay. Hello, hello, hello.
Are we live?
We are live.
Aw.
We are alive.
Ryan, I thought of you this week, by the way. They have a new
You
King
did?
Kong. They have a new King Kong video game that looks so
God.
cool, and I heard it's not good, but I still kind of want it.
Sounds about right.
It like fits in with the new like Monarch kind of universe, and
Okay.
I like it a lot. Is that show still good?
I like it. Yeah, I mean, like, I follow along with it. Granted, like, I'm a big, like, like the whole what they're doing with Godzilla and King Kong. So, I mean, I'm a little biased there, but
Sure.
I enjoy it.
Okay, I'm gonna have to give it a watch then.
Yeah, that's still on my list of things to watch, but
It's so, mine is so long. Like when you tell me to watch things, I do keep a running tally. I just like have years of backlog to get through.
yeah. And like even things that I've watched, I'm behind on. Like
Yeah,
I'm
same.
I'm behind on Penguin. I haven't watched the new season of Shrinking. Like but I am caught up on Only Murders. So
Same. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
although I will say there have been a few episodes this season like not my favorite. But hey,
I wanna know.
I say that about a lot of things that feature Melissa McCarthy. So
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
yeah. Let's get into it, shall we, gentlemen?
Yes.
Hey everybody, welcome to. Oh, hold on. Hi everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devon.
I love how you did the count Von
Yep,
count.
Had
Yeah.
to go for the count.
Today we're talking about Devon's pick, the Mel Brooks film Dracula, Dead and Loving It. Each week we talk about things one of us has never seen before. That's a movie that I've never seen, but we'll get into that later. But before we do all that, we usually catch up on things that we've seen in pop culture over the last week. We've all been pretty busy, so we haven't really watched anything. So we don't really have anything for We Watch This, but I'll talk a little bit about my experience at New York Comic Con.
New York City.
Yeah, I spent the weekend in New York City for New York Comic Con with our friend Josh Howell, helping him sell his books and made a few sales. So met my quota of at least one a day. So no, it was a fun con. Got to hang out with Josh and hang out with some friends in New York City. Ran into a few celebrities like on the floor. Saw a few people that I recognized from like TikTok and saw the Power Rangers, but none of it was like the second wave of Power Rangers, like not the original ones, like not the right not the right Pink Ranger.
Not that big.
And then the Red Ranger was there, but he's kind of like gone off the deep end. So, but there was so the way where Josh's booth was, you could hear everything at the Marvel booth, not far away from us. So at one point we're sitting there and we hear they're doing like a cosplay contest, and I just hear a guy yell, "Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Hardy." And I was like, Tom Hardy? What? Because I knew they had a Venom thing going on, like a panel. So I go over. I'm like, is Tom Hardy over there? And I walk over to take a look, and I just see two Venom cosplayers on stage. And I was like, oh, so it was just a joke. And then later on, I see that Tom Hardy was with those two Venom cosplayers online. So like completely missed Tom Hardy. Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox were there too. We missed that. But I did something I've never done at Comic-Con before. Or at least haven't done in a while. I went down to the like autograph hall. And I almost bought one of you an autograph.
I know which one.
Yeah. So they had the cast of Futurama at the con. So I like looked over and saw Billy West and John DiMaggio just signing autographs.
Oh, God.
Devon and I almost bought you Billy West's autograph.
We were this close.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to ask how much that would have been.
It wasn't that bad. Like he was fairly cheap
reasonable.
compared to like
okay.
Matt Smith and John Boyega. Who? And let me tell you this. John Boyega was there doing autographs. He was having a blast. Like I just looked over at his line and just saw him like laughing and having fun with the fans, and I was like, that's what this is for. Like it was good to see that.
I've only been to one autograph hall in my entire life, and it was Bob Clark was there.
Okay.
And also Henry Winkler was there. And they were two booths next to each other. And they couldn't have been more different in vibe. I literally didn't understand how the things work. So I walked up to Bob Clark and he ignored me because I didn't pay him money. Henry Winkler was in front of his booth just shaking hands. And if you wanted to pay him for an autograph, he'd take you back, he'd take your money, he'd sign the autograph and talk to you more. But he was just happy to be there. Like,
yeah.
it made me love him so much more.
You caught him in one of his happy days.
I love it. Good one.
Yeah.
Good one. Ugh.
Other than that, I did not get my Dogma poster signed by Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes and Jason Lee because...
Were they there?
They were there.
Okay.
I had a Seinfeld moment going into the city. I had reserved a parking spot in a garage. I drive to said garage with my reservation ticket, and I pull up, and the guy's like, "No, we're full." I'm like, but I have a reservation. What's the point of the reservation if you're not going to hold the reservation? Like,
what did you do?
I found another parking garage.
Parking in New York genuinely stresses me out.
Yeah.
Like, not much does. That stresses me out.
Yeah, I had it. That was the only issue I had parking in New York. I found another garage for the same price. Was able to get a refund for the reservation and use that for Sunday. So it worked out nicely. But
That's cool.
Yeah.
I gotta know, what celebrities did you see walking around? Did you see like Patton Oswalt? Was he around? Was like anybody walking on the floor that's like worthwhile to mention from like
the only person I actually saw was Ming Chen from Comic Book Men.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I saw him. I saw Straw Hat Goofy from TikTok on the floor at one point. He's like the movie guy on TikTok who always has his microphone out like this.
Was frantically Googling him, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm not on TikTok.
Other than that, I didn't really see anyone that I recognized. There were a lot of people there that I wanted to see. Like I would have loved to have gone to the Shrinking panel with Brett Goldstein and Jason Segel,
That would
but
have been incredible.
yeah, but no,
Sounds
like
like fun though.
yeah, like people were walking around with their Elizabeth Olsen pictures, and Kevin Smith and Josh Brolin was there.
Oh.
So yeah.
What was the most unexpected cosplay you saw? Did anything make you do like a double take, or was it just like a sea of Deadpool?
There was a lot of Deadpool.
I'm sure.
There was a family that was like Vision and Wanda and
Billy and
Bill, yeah,
other one.
and then like the dad was just Deadpool, like.
That's a shame. Come on,
yeah.
Dad.
There was some really cool like samurai Power Ranger ones, like hybrid samurai.
That's neat.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, yeah. The most surprising thing was like the first day there was a Carmen Sandiego, and Josh and I were both like, we found her, and she turned to us like, you were the first ones to say that to me all day, and this was like late in the con that day.
Were they really? That's
Yeah,
crazy.
and
That's sad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was sad.
What
But
would have been better is people should have broken into like a cappella, started singing it.
It's so good. I
yeah,
love that song.
I'm trying to think if there was anything else cosplay wise. No, I
I'm
didn't.
just so impressed by cosplay. I think like some of the stuff they do is incredible.
Yeah. I almost did a cosplay. I almost dressed as Clark Kent from Smallville,
Oh, that would have been
which would have just been this shirt and a red jacket. And I thought I had the red jacket. Like I went to Ross last week and I found a jacket and I was like, I don't know if it's worth $50 for this bit.
A lot of money for a bit.
Yeah, and then like the day before we left, I was like, I'm gonna go and get that jacket for the bit. And I go in to buy the jacket and it's not on the rack, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then I'm walking out and I see a guy wearing the jacket. I'm like, oh no, like I just missed it. Yeah, it was the
Seinfeld moment.
Yeah. What's the deal? But no, it was a lot of fun. Looking forward to going again next year. And thanks again to Josh for having me out there. It's always a pleasure. And yeah.
Very cool.
Devon,
I'm very jealous, and I'm happy that you got to go.
My goal is to get you to go next year.
I want to go so freaking bad.
We would have a blast.
I know I would. I would lose my mind.
We tried to do karaoke in Koreatown, but they wanted $500 for a room.
What?
Yeah. So we're like, nope, not doing that.
Is there no?
So,
that's insane.
Because there were only 3 of us. We're like, yeah, no, that's not happening. So if we get a larger group to go and split it, then we can do
doable.
it. Yes.
At least 5 people. That's
Yeah.
manageable.
Yeah.
And that's why they charge $500.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's so cool, though. I'd love to do
Yeah.
karaoke.
yeah. So yeah, that was my weekend. I'll have stuff that we're talking about for we watch this next week because I have to go to the movies this weekend. So
I heard it's really bad.
I mean, it's got a Venom horse in it. I'm not expecting Citizen Kane. But
That's fair.
I'm also not expecting Madam Web. So
that's the scale. Is it better or worse than Madam Web?
yeah. All right, let's talk about Devon's pick for this week. The film that I had never seen. Devon, go ahead and take it away.
So my pick for the week is 1995's Dracula, Dead and Loving It, starring Leslie Nielsen, the man himself, Mel Brooks, Peter MacNicol, and Steven Weber. This is a parody retelling of Bram Stoker's Dracula. I'm going to put a pin in that sentence because I found out that young Devon was very, very stupid. And let's go from there. So I think that, so I've seen this before. This is one of, this might be the only, because I was looking this up before the show. I think this is the only Leslie Nielsen movie I think I've seen. And mostly because it was Mel Brooks. But I don't think I've seen any other Leslie Nielsen movies.
Oh, no.
Like, I'm combing through his like, movie playlist here, and
Surely you can't be serious.
Nope, never saw that. I'm
We have
waiting for
talked
you
about
guys
that
to make me
several
watch
times.
it. But yeah, so only Leslie Nielsen movie I've ever seen. So I'll need to talk to you guys about where this ranks in his movies, and if this is a good representation of what I can expect moving forward, because I know things like Naked Gun are like some of Romana's favorite movies. Like, she likes Leslie Nielsen quite a lot. Her whole family does. So I'm looking forward to watching more, but I'll need a check on that. But back to Dracula Dead and Loving It. Ryan, have you seen this before?
I saw it when I was like 12. On like HBO or something like that.
Yeah, that's where you watch this.
Yeah, and yeah, so I have seen this before. I saw it once when I was 12. I have never really gone back to this movie ever. To the point where I kind of almost forget about it. But the one thing that always sticks in my head is Leslie Nielsen's face on the bat. Like, his human head on the bat body is something that will always like be like engraved in my brain. But yeah, I will get into particulars in the show.
Perfect. Alan, have you heard of this movie before, or is this like a left ball for you?
I had heard of it. I had never seen it because this was like was this the last thing that Mel Brooks directed?
It was. I wanted to talk about that because I didn't know that it was. This was, according to what I had read, this was the most recent theatrical film directed by Mel Brooks to date. Didn't know that. I then looked up his IMDb page because I didn't believe it when I saw that, but I think it's true.
Yeah. No, it is. He hasn't directed a film in almost 20 years.
That's crazy.
I'd never seen this. This is one of the holes in my Mel Brooks filmography.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many left now. I think there's
What's
one.
left?
The 12 Chairs,
I haven't seen that.
Silent Movie,
Saw that one.
History of the World Part 1, and Life Stinks.
We gotta change to History of the World Part 1, man.
Yeah.
Did you see Part 2, or did only Ryan was revealing this all Part 2?
I did not see Part 2.
I didn't watch part 2.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, no one did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to dive in first, guys.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
And when he says no one watched History of the World Part 2, he means no one. Like, not just the three of us. No one.
No one else.
Yeah.
But
so for me, this. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, so I'd never seen this before. Yeah.
So for me, this movie was one of those that I had watched with my dad when he was, I couldn't sleep in the summer and we go to Blockbuster. This was one of the movies that we rented along with like Young Frankenstein, Spaceballs, all of those movies. He's the one that introduced me to Mel Brooks around the same period of time. So this movie kind of blurred together, or some bits of this movie all blurred together in just like a mass of Mel Brooks. To the point where there were some parts from Blazing Saddles that I thought were in this movie and was surprised to see wasn't. Which is actually kind of good. But this movie for me was a lot of fun to rewatch just because I had watched it when I was earlier. I appreciated it when I watched it more than I appreciated Young Frankenstein because I couldn't get over the black and white thing. But it was a really fun rewatch for me this time. Ryan, how is it for you watching it again since 12?
I realized why I never revisited it again.
Oh, I can't wait to hear. 'Cause I think this is making my yearly rotation.
Yeah, so this is not making my yearly rotation, and partly because I kind of did, looking back on it, I did a dumb thing. So Amazon had it for like $1 more. You could just buy it.
Yeah.
Instead of like rent it. And usually when I see that, and if it's like a director that I really like, that I, like that like Mel Brooks, that I like the majority of his stuff, or if it's a movie that I know from my childhood that I'm just gonna like, at least for nostalgia's sake, I'll just buy it for the extra $1 and not rent it. Like,
Yeah.
no. And I really wish I hadn't done that. So I remember watching this as a 12-year-old, and at that point, like, I had seen Blazing Saddles probably way too young than at the time. I had seen Young Frankenstein. I had seen History of the World Part 1 because my dad was a huge Mel Brooks fan.
Yeah.
And also being a big Leslie Nielsen fan from the Naked Gun movies and Airplane, again, seeing movies way too young. Like, I was kind of expecting that level.
Sure.
And this is just an aspect of Mel Brooks humor that, like, I maybe laughed once or twice throughout the whole movie, when normally a Mel Brooks film is like constant laughs for me. So this was just like a different, like a different side of his humor that just really didn't connect for me. That's all.
Okay. Yeah. That's totally fair. I want to hear more about that a little bit later. But Alan, how was your first watch of Dracula Dead and Loving It?
It was fine. It made me chuckle at parts. It's not Mel Brooks at his best.
No.
It's not Leslie Nielsen at his best.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be Steven Weber at his best.
Is it Peter McNichol at his best?
Maybe.
The guy that played Renfield? Because
yeah. I'm struggling to see what else the only other thing I can think of him being in is Ghostbusters 2. And I know he's been in more than that.
He does a lot of voiceover work because he looked familiar to me and I recognized him from voiceover or from Ghostbusters 2. But I mean, he does a lot of video game VO work. He does a lot of animated movies.
Ally McBeal.
I've seen that.
Yeah, I haven't either.
I forgot he was in that.
It might be his best. It's probably one of his more memorable ones.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he's just better when he's like a servant to somebody who's evil.
I can see that.
But yeah, I also don't think I've ever seen a Dracula film. Like I know of I've seen like the Simpsons parody of Dracula, like Dracula, but not an actual Dracula film.
Are you?
So
mean? This is what I say to things.
Oh.
yeah,
We have to change that at some point.
yeah,
Yeah, we do.
But I know enough of the story to appreciate. I think the only one I've seen is like Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman.
Yes.
Which is weird to think that Mel Brooks and Hugh Jackman have played the same character.
They're pretty similar.
Yeah. I want to see Mel Brooks as Wolverine now. Like that's what I want to see.
No, I want it. Yes.
But no, it was okay. There were parts of it that made me laugh. Other parts was like, yeah, okay.
Okay. So, the thing that I just realized watching it this time is that it is a pretty faithful recreation of Bram Stoker's original Dracula. Didn't catch that the first time I watched it. I was like, Renfield, what an interesting last name. And just kind of like moved on and didn't realize that was like a part of the lore. Like, didn't realize that a lot of the beats from Bram Stoker's Dracula were the same in this. Just was like, well, that's fine. Did that make the comedy better for you guys or worse for you guys? The fact that it was because I mean, you know, Young Frankenstein is very similar, right? Where it's very close to Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Did that help the movie or hurt it for you guys?
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Okay. So for me, like, I was getting that humor of like where they were like making fun or just kind of like playing up some of the like the actions and you know the themes of the original and where like the humor was placed in. It's just the type of humor they were using was like I'll use an example of a scene that I laughed at.
Okay.
But it's also an example of like why this movie kind of fell flat or why this comedy fell flat for me.
Okay.
Is when the friend is a vampire and she's coming on to the fiance and like she goes, you know, she starts talking about, you know, like where his passion is and his like thirst for life and all of this stuff and his response is just I'm British.
Yes.
As to why he's like, you know, like a cold fish. And like that type of like humor is very British and it is very dry. And usually I like dry humor. It's just for some reason that type of humor did not land for me throughout the rest of the movie. So even though when I was watching it, I'm like, oh, okay, got it. Okay, got it. Okay, got it. I'm like, now I'm remembering why I never went back to this movie.
I think
I don't really think it had an effect one way or the other for me.
I think for me, part of it, like the reason Young Frankenstein works so well and this doesn't is like, what's the big moment from Young Frankenstein that you remember?
Roll in the hay.
Okay. What's the other big?
On the Ritz.
Put it on the Ritz. There's like, it doesn't deviate from the story as much like Young Frankenstein does and does the putting on the Ritz bit. Like it's beat for beat a parody of that story with jokes thrown in there. And it's just silly to be silly. Like there's not like the jokes aren't that clever.
Yeah.
Which is disappointing.
It's weird. That's my impression of what Leslie Nielsen is just in general as an actor, is that if you need someone to play kind of over the top silly, and it's probably because this is the only movie I've seen him in, right? Like, if you need someone to play an over the top guy that can, like, at some points bring it down to earth and make it serious, you go to Leslie Nielsen, and that's why he's in this movie. Am I wrong with that?
Yes.
Okay.
One of the things that's great about him is in Airplane and then the Naked Gun movies, at least to start when he started with Police Squad, he took it seriously. Like, he wasn't playing up the jokes. Like, he treated it seriously and just delivered the lines as if they were serious. Like, I am serious and don't call me Shirley. Like, that's not a joke. That's it. Like, he's treating it like a drama, and that's what's great about his character in Naked Gun, is that he treats it seriously and he's not in on the joke. But as his career went on, and you get to this and Spy Hard and superhero movie and all these other things that he did, Mr. Magoo, like, he starts to get in on the joke and it falls flat.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So like what Alan said, like, he started his career as a hardcore, serious police. Like, he was the lead on a real, hardcore, serious police show for a very, very long time.
Oh.
And so he always played it seriously. And then here come the Naked Gun movies, parodies of Lethal Weapon. And he's playing the same, hard-nosed police officer, giving dead serious lines, not acting humorous at all, but everything he does is moronic. And all of the conclusions he comes to are just really bad dad puns, and everyone else around him are just kind of like standing back like, oh man, you almost killed yourself, or what are you talking about? Like, that's where the humor was. Like, he was just completely oblivious to what was going on, and he was playing the role dead seriously. And then he comes to the top of the stairwell as Dracula and gives the whole like face, and it's for a guy who started his who based everything he did in his humor up until that point off of playing like the straight man pretty much, and then having that happen, it was completely different than what a Leslie Nielsen comedic fan in 1995 would have expected.
Is he the 80s and 90s version of The Rock? Started out in serious roles, moved more into comedy, but stuck to relatively serious to the point where he got so much and he's just in on the joke now.
Oh.
Because that's kind of what it sounds like to me.
Here's the thing, though. I would still watch some of Leslie Nielsen's movies over the Rock movies.
You want to go back to, like, Jumanji?
Mm-mm.
No.
No.
Oh.
I don't watch those movies on principle.
Okay, that's fair. That's totally fair. I'm interested to see him in a more serious role. There was another actor that we had done earlier that was a little bit like this for me. Was it Arnold Schwarzenegger? Where I'm used to Arnold Schwarzenegger being funny, silly, and seeing him be serious was weird.
Yeah, like, your Arnold Schwarzenegger is Junior, Twins, Kindergarten Cop.
Rubber Baby Buggers.
Rubber Baby Buggers.
Where, like, mine is like Commando, Predator, like.
Who is your Leslie Nielsen then? What is peak Leslie Nielsen for you?
For me, it's it's the Naked Gun, and it's the Naked Gun movies and Airplane.
Okay. Alan, is that yours?
I'm too young to do the cop show.
That's
okay.
Yeah, those are mine too, but I'll throw in Spy Hard too, just because it's Weird Al's birthday and he did the theme song. So.
Is Weird Al's birthday today?
Yeah.
Happy birthday, friend of the show, Weird Al. By the way, I explained to friends over the weekend what a Twinkie Wiener sandwich was, and they were appalled. So when I'm in the U.S., I'm buying the ingredients and shipping them over to have one with them.
You mean you can't buy Twinkies and Oscar Mayer wieners in the UK?
No, you sir, and squeeze cheese certainly cannot.
Ah.
It's all illegal.
I am color me shocked. No.
Okay, so what about this movie worked for you guys then? Like, is there anything that you genuinely like? Because for me, there were definitely like parts and lines that hit for me almost as hard as like Young Frankenstein or Spaceballs.
The first line that hit for me was one that I keep seeing online because it's like going viral, I guess. Is at the very beginning is like Dracula, Dracula, Dracula schedule, like
Yeah,
because that's the kind of jokes I'm expecting from this whole movie. But then it just became like, oh, he's eating bugs and hiding it, or he's hitting his head on a chandelier. Like it just became very silly and slapsticky. But I'm more in it for like the wordplay type stuff, and there wasn't much of that.
Yeah, and for me, like even though I like slapstick, it has to be paired with something, and it wasn't really paired with anything. It was just silliness. Now, for me, it's more like individual bits were funny.
yeah.
Like when Dracula walks through, or Leslie Nielsen walks through the spider web, and then Renfield tries to do it, and he gets all tangled up in it because he just assumes it's going to happen the same way for him.
Yeah.
That was good. When they go to kill his fiance's friend when she's a vampire, and you get the army of darkness like amount of blood coming out of the casket every time he hits the stake. Like stuff like that is what I enjoyed. Like that was the slapstick that I enjoyed. Renfield trying to collect the garlic in the bedroom, not so much.
No.
Another thing that was distracting though in this movie, and I know that you're not done asking questions, but I need to put this in because it's something I've been wanting to say the entire time we've been doing this. Another thing that threw me off in this movie was Mel Brooks himself playing Patrick Stewart as the Doctor. The entire time he's on screen, all I can think of is he doing this role as if Patrick Stewart was doing it? Because that's how it came across.
It's so very specific. What made you think that?
Watch the performance again. Like, watch
to.
anything Patrick Stewart does, and then watch this again, and listen, and just listen to the way he talks. Watch his body language, the makeup on him, and I feel like they couldn't get Patrick Stewart, so Mel Brooks stepped in and did the role.
So I'm looking at the cast of Bram Stoker's Dracula that came out in 1992, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Anthony Hopkins played Van Helsing in that.
Oh.
So it's possible that he's doing a parody of Anthony Hopkins as well. But then you have Keanu Reeves as Harker. And then Mina is played by Winona Ryder.
You know what? I just looked it up. I get the bit with the hair now. I didn't get the bit with the hair. Now I understand the bit with the hair.
I understood. Like that joke. That joke I appreciated because they've done that. Like I knew they did a bit on it in this. The Simpsons did it with Mr. Burns.
Oh, did they?
One of the Scary Movies I think did it, but made it not hair but boobs. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, look, to your guys' point, a lot of the stuff that I remember about the movie that I keep coming back to is what you mentioned, is the wordplay. Like one of my favorite lines was, "She's Nosferatu. She's Italian?"
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of stuff I like about Mel Brooks. I agree. And stuff like the garlic, I didn't like either, but I did very much like some of the wordplay, or maybe this scene that might be on the edge for the two of you, and I wonder if you liked it as much. I actually liked Mel Brooks's introduction scene as he's doing an autopsy in front of students. He's going, this is where we separate the men from the boys who just want to play doctor. And he's specifically doing an autopsy on a rotting corpse in a way that's meant to make them all pass out, because that's just the hazing or initiation that you go through to be a doctor under him. I thought that was a fun scene.
That is a very fun scene.
Okay.
Again, problem is that you've got like maybe 3 or 4 home run skits or jokes, and then you have maybe 6 or 7 one-liners in this, and then the rest of it is just, okay, I get that. Okay, that was clever.
Yeah.
He's pretending to eat bugs. The enema joke again. That's back.
I actually kind of liked the enema joke. I think I liked the enema joke because of the last time they said the enema joke, where he goes, "You're gonna go get you know what," and he goes, "An enema." Like, I liked that he didn't need to deliver it.
Yeah.
The enema thing, it just went on too long. Like, it was one of those things, and it, like, it's not the kind of humor that I'm expecting from a Mel Brooks thing. Like, like once or twice would have worked, but they just kept going back to it. So
I think I couldn't get over the fact that he was doing it, quote, because it gave them a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't like any medical anything behind it. He's just like, it makes them feel like they did something today. I think that's funny.
Yeah. See, that aspect of it I liked. But I agree with Alan when it comes to how long they played the bit out.
Yeah. How did you guys feel about Mel Brooks as an actor in it? Because I liked him. I understand that he might be coming across a little bit Picard. But, like, where does this rank for you in terms of, like, him as Yogurt or him in Young Frankenstein? Like, where is this among all of those?
I mean, he's fine in it. I think he's better as the president in Spaceballs. He's better in what I've seen of History of the World Part 1. Because I've seen part of that movie. I just haven't seen the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, he's fine as an actor. Like, he's not none of the actors in this are the problem. The problem is the jokes.
Is it the writing?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
It's just too silly. Like, the parts that work for me, like, are even the wordplay. Like, the stuff that they do with the mirror, with Dracula in the dance scene at the party.
Yeah.
I thought that was all fantastic. And the way they played, all the dancing stuff worked for me because, like, the shadow doing other stuff and then just stopping and yelling at the shadow worked.
Yeah.
It's just the some of the jokes just were just too blue for me, I guess, which is not what I expect from Mel Brooks.
That's fair.
The whole time. Like, yeah, he'll go blue occasionally, but not the whole time.
It was pretty blue. Yeah. Now that you say it.
Okay, now you guys lost me. Blue?
Crass, like more immature.
Yeah. Like a fart joke or like a...
Oh, okay. Simple.
Yeah. You know,
okay.
like enema jokes.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Like a running gag of enema jokes.
Okay, yeah, so, okay, I didn't know blue was a thing.
Right. Let me just take a moment to acknowledge you said running and enema in the same sentence. And
gross.
A running enema. Well, I mean, when you have to go, you have to go, and usually...
And when you can't have to go, that's when you need an enema.
Yeah, well, sometimes you see somebody running down a hallway with an enema sticking out, but...
Never have I seen that.
You guys haven't seen all the right stuff. That'll change. You guys haven't seen...
Oof. So, Ryan brought it up. I want to bring it up quick. Alan, how did you watch this movie?
I rented it.
You rented it?
Yes.
This movie is nowhere over here.
Oh, really?
Not on any streaming service, not on Amazon, not on any of the other ones that it says it is. You cannot find the movie over here. I had to buy it. I bought it from a reputable website and watched it on that website. But it was like, I even like made a big show and dance about this with Ramona. I was like, let's sit down together and let's get in front of the television and let's watch it because it'll be it was nowhere. I was so disappointed. So I didn't even get a chance to potentially buy it, Ryan.
Well, If I could gift it to you, I will, but I don't think that's how Amazon works.
Ugh. So one thing I found out about this movie is that, do you guys know how old Leslie Nielsen is in this? And I thought this was fascinating.
No.
68.
Okay.
I am so impressed with that man. Like, I didn't realize, I just figured that he looked roughly like that, like from age 30 on, and didn't realize that, he was 68 in this movie. He's incredible in this. And, like, this wasn't one of his last films either, was it?
No, it wasn't. He was in Spy Hard after this. He was in, let me see what else. He did a bunch of stuff after this. He did stupid IMDb. After this, he was in a few of the Scary Movies.
Wow.
Yeah. Mr. Magoo, I know, was after this. Yeah. Spy Hard. They did a TV version of Harvey. Mr. Magoo. A bunch of other parody movies like 2001 A Space Travesty. Superhero movie where he plays the Uncle Ben character to Drake Bell's Peter Parker.
Oh, weird.
Something called Spanish Movie. Yeah, he acted until his death in 2010.
That's incredible. I'm so impressed. I didn't know that. I really didn't. For some reason, I thought that he was like 40 in this movie, because I know that he did other things. I even found out that he returned to the Dracula universe and is in a movie called Stan Helsing.
Yes.
Which, have any of you seen that one? I haven't.
No.
I don't think we should ever. I don't want to do that.
I mean, it's got Kenan Thompson in it, so.
Oh, I like that too. Ugh.
Those are the only two names I know.
Oh, well, did anything stand out about this movie that you guys wanted to talk about? I realize I've been monopolizing with my burning questions that like have literally been on my mind since I watched the movie over the weekend.
Not really. No.
No?
Nothing really stood out to me.
I mean-
We've covered it pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about.
Besides me getting a Patrick Stewart vibe from him, the one thing that will always stand out to me in this movie is just that the cheesiness of like the whole Dracula turning into the bat thing. And like that used to be something that was like a very good like horror scary thing of like him turning himself into a bat and like he could, like sneak into places, and like how scary, that was to people for a while. Now things have kind of changed, and now it's just kind of corny. Like, oh look, that's so silly. This has been around in pop culture for so long that like the scariness of it has kind of lost itself, and now it's just kind of like funny. And this movie kind of jumped on that. It's like, look, this is something that he did. People saw it scary at one time, but now we see it as something silly. So let's just keep his face on the bat body and let's just do humor like that. And my favorite use of that is at the end where he's hiding in the rafters and Renfield opens up the roof.
Oh,
and like, and they focus in on Leslie Nielsen, and he has the bat ears, and like that's all you see on the screen, and he like goes cross-eyed and that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one thing I was happy about was that the movie did end on a Mel Brooks feel, where the doctor comes in and tells Renfield that he no longer has to work for anyone, and he's no longer a servant, and he can be his own person. And then as he turns around and walks away, he's like, "Come here, Renfield." And then Renfield goes right back from having like his normal voice back to being like the, like hunchback servant and going, "Yes, sire," as he like walks out of the room. So I mean, the movie did end on a good note as far as I was concerned. And then, of course, Mel Brooks, checking to make sure that the ash didn't turn back into Dracula and speaking, I think, Yiddish.
Yeah.
Like his the
Yeah.
last two words of the movie is Yiddish as he drops the casket and walks out of the room. I mean, this is definitely a good, like, Mel Brooks, movie. It rounds out his humor. This is just an aspect of his humor that I just really didn't fall into.
That's fair. And you do have a good point where, like, basically in movies at this point, and I don't know how much Twilight helped or hurt this, vampires are kind of pastiche now. Like, I feel like it's hard to do a good vampire movie where they feel like they have their traditional set of powers and they feel like a threatening, scary thing.
Well, it didn't help. So you can successfully do good vampire Dracula movies. You can, even with the powers that they have. You just have to kind of modernize things a little bit. Mm-hmm. And a good example of that, as far as I'm concerned, is a movie that's based off of, the book that like started this whole thing, and it's just one chapter. And the movie's called The Last Voyage of the Dementor, Dementor.
You like that one, I remember.
I think it's pronounced. I really liked that, and I feel like that is a good example of how you can do a good classic vampire movie. What they did to vampires in Twilight made it more digestible for the genre that it was in.
Sure.
I'm not going to crap on it. I did when I was younger. A lot of people like it. I guess it's a generational thing now, because I'm seeing like, it's like, like I'm seeing more Twilight stuff that I thought I would at this point for like nostalgia's sake.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I'm not gonna crap on it, but like what they did to vampires in that show, I'm not happy about. But for a certain part of people who watched it, it was the right fit for them, I guess.
I can see that. So you actually, I think, answered the question that I wanted to ask to end this. Alan hasn't seen a vampire movie. Recommend one for him.
That's not what I said. I said I'd never seen a Dracula movie.
Oh, okay. Alan hasn't seen a Dracula movie. Recommend one for him.
Okay, well,
have you seen Interview with a Vampire? Is that what your vampire movie is?
Who, me?
Are you talking to me or Alan?
No, Alan.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I know I've seen them. Yeah.
Yeah, what's your recommendation, Ryan?
I've got two. I would do Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
And then, just because I'm a troll at the moment, I would say also Dracula 2000.
Okay.
Since it has a 17% on Rotten Tomatoes.
The vampire movie that's coming to my mind right now that I've seen is Fright Night.
Oh, sure. Okay.
But then I also watched like True Blood. So.
Oh, sure. That makes
sense.
Oh,
Morbius.
don't do that. Don't do that. Have you seen Hotel Transylvania? That's technically him too.
No, I have not.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
It feels like it should be for me, but...
Have you guys seen Dusk Till Dawn?
No.
Parts of it.
Oh, okay.
Unlike Spike TV, so I don't think that counts.
Not really.
Do you guys... This may be a loaded question. Do you miss Spike TV?
I didn't think about Spike TV until I just said the word Spike TV, no.
Good. Ryan, do you miss Spike TV?
I'm actually Googling it right now to see what shows were on it.
Mansers.
For me to tell you.
Do you know Mansers and the vibe around Mansers? It's that.
Answers?
Oh, that's the right answer to this question. No, good.
Confused.
Good. No, don't look up anymore.
No. So I remember the logo.
Okay.
I definitely remember the logo. A lot of the shows that are like accompanying I don't really like. Oh, okay. So MXC,
Yeah, that one.
the dub Japanese show. They had a Blade TV series.
Yeah.
Man, I never watched Spike.
Good.
You're the better of the three of us.
You
Ryan.
absolutely are. Gosh.
There are things on Spike that I will not admit to watching on the internet right now.
Mm-hmm. Same. We'll talk about it after the podcast.
Yeah, we will. And then sharing links. No, that's all. That's all I've got on Dracula, Dead and Loving It. So.
Yeah, that's all I got too. Ryan.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't really have anything.
We've
else.
digressed onto Spike TV. We're past Leslie Nielsen now.
Yes. Tune in next.
Yeah.
Tune in next week where we just watch everything that was ever on Spike TV.
Oh God. No.
And we instantly get shut down.
Yeah. Ryan, next week it's your pick. What are we watching for next week?
So I am picking this mainly because it is going to be Halloween, and I wanted to do the movie that disturbed me the most in 2024. So it is not as well rated as I would want it to be on the 3 categories that I'm looking here on Google, but we are going to be doing The First Omen from 2024.
Fun.
Which is the prequel entry to the Omen movie series that came out in like the 70s and 80s. So,
Very cool. Very cool.
All right. Well, tune in next week for our Halloween-themed episode where we may or may not be in costume. You just have to tune in to find out.
Probably.
We'll be live next Wednesday right here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can subscribe to You Have to Watch This podcast on YouTube. Also listen to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. I just realized how long of a backlog we have to get caught up there. So I'm going to be working on that here. So stay tuned there. Until next time for You Have to Watch This podcast, I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devon.
And enemas all around.